All right, we are back, episode 13 of Your Relationship Sucks! Exclamation, double exclamation point today, apparently.
Wow, this is
I was very excited
you're
about that one.
accelerating quickly.
I was
So
very, very, very excited.
I I
Maybe
don't know where this is gonna go.
it's in Spanish and it's a upside down exclamation point at the beginning. I don't know. It's very possible. All right, so this is the show where we answer kind of the tough questions about relationships from the internet, help people who are trapped in relationships, how to kind of crawl their way out of the holes that they've dug themselves. Obviously, with the foremost experts on that. Again, I haven't seen any of these questions. I don't know what's going. I have no idea what's coming at me. But you got a good question today, from what I understand.
Yes.
So what do you have? What do you have for me?
I think you're particularly going to go off on this one, which I always enjoy when I really hit a nerve. My goal with every question. Why don't women ever want to date nice guys?
I hate this guy already. Continue.
Yeah.
Can't stand him. Don't like him. don't like him at all.
My dating life is doomed. For starters, I'm a nice guy. I also totally lack confidence with women, and I'm on the sensitive side of the male spectrum. I've tried all sorts of things over the years to meet women: online dating, cooking classes, dance lessons, even volunteering at marathons. I've certainly met some great friends along the way, and a few cool girls I did end up going out with. Unfortunately, the women I dated weren't the ones I was interested, while the ones I really liked blew me off. I'm in my 30s and feel like I've tried everything: improving myself, creating opportunities to meet women, even experimenting with fake elements of my personality. But I'm still I'm sorry.
Okay. This guy sucks.
But I'm still totally self-conscious about getting the women I want. What's the advice you would give for a truly good guy who's never had any luck with women?
Number one, you're not a good guy. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, you're literally being purposely deceptive towards women. Like, you're changing, you're doing fake elements of your personality. Like
Intentionally.
You're not a good person.
Sometimes that happens, like you hang out with people and like different facets of your personality come out. He is like picking and choosing.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
A facade.
Well, he's just making shit up. Like, you're not a good person. Just make shit up. Like, being a professional liar is not a good profession to be in. Like, nobody's like, hey, you know what? Like, you ever met my friend Bill? He lies all the time. He's great. Like, nobody's ever said that. Like, ever. Not once. So you're not a good guy, number one.
Yeah.
Stop calling yourself a nice guy, number two.
No nice guy is ever an actual nice guy.
Who goes, I don't understand. Are there a lot of people who are signing up for marathons to meet women? I don't understand.
I don't know.
How do you meet a woman at a marathon?
What it tells me and what is following, he seems to want like a 9 or a 10. Like, it sounds like he's going to marathons because he's going to meet someone who has a very like specific aesthetic, and then they don't necessarily like him or the vibe he's putting. He seems a little creepy.
Oh yeah, no, this guy's super creepy. Like, you're putting way too much thought into this, bro.
Women who are, maybe 9 or 10s are not going to be interested in someone who's creepy because they have better options all the time. But it sounds like a very specific aesthetic that he's looking for, because he also mentions that the women he likes are not interested in him. He doesn't get into like if that's physical or not, but usually when people are consistently can't find nice people, it's physical.
This guy's 100% trying to swing above his weight class. Like, this dude's probably kind of, whatever. He's probably, I don't know, whatever. Let's call him average, So, he's probably like me, just kind of middle of the road. Like, people look at him and like, all right, not a slob, good work. Like, that's fine.
I don't know if people look at you and think you're not a slob, but you're like in the middle for other reasons.
Yeah, I think most people look at me and they're like, hey,
we can see you wear the same shirt every day and no.
It's like, hey, like this guy, like a slightly less handsome, like George Clooney, Brad
Yeah,
Pitt
if it takes you that
situation.
long
You know
to
what I
come
mean?
up with someone who's
Like,
attractive, then probably not happening for you.
well, I'm just trying to see like what my level is. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to say somebody who was like a 7 and like a slightly less attractive, because that's not true, right? Like, I'm like a slightly less attractive, like 9 or 10. You know, maybe an
Oh,
8,
is
like on a bad
okay.
day. You know, on a bad day, like when I'm
Okay.
tired and stuff. You know, maybe like a slightly less attractive 8. But yeah, you know, like this guy's clearly trying to swing above his above his weight class, right? Like
Yeah.
he's trying to punch out, he's trying to fucking punch out Muhammad Ali as you know, Roy Jones Jr., right? Like it's not gonna happen, bro. Um, I have I've got a lot of problems with how this guy is going about this sort of thing. Number one, well, no, I mean, this is very obvious, right? And like, this is not, I mean, like, you don't need me to be the one telling you this. They don't like you because you have zero confidence, bro. You have zero confidence. Um, Chicks don't dig that. I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, you know, back in the '90s, they used to say, you know, it was kind of a running joke in baseball, Major League Baseball, where this, you know, chicks dig the long ball, right? Uh, yeah, chicks might dig the long ball. They don't dig dudes with no confidence, right? And you're over here,
Yeah.
you're bashing yourself. You're telling me that you're a
I'd say
nice
like
guy,
no
like
one
all these
likes
things.
anyone without confidence. That's
No,
like not a
absolutely
chick
not.
thing. Guys don't either. I mean, no one like no
Absolutely,
one wants to be around someone who makes them feel uncomfortable, and that's what that
absolutely.
translates to.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, you know, you're creepy, dude. You're creepy because you like you said, you make people uncomfortable. All those things. I hate this guy. I can't stand this guy. Like, dude, you're going to dance classes. You're going to all these things.
Cooking
Like,
classes.
stop. Why are you going to those places to meet women? Like, if that happens while you're there, that's fine. But when you go to places like that, the women aren't necessarily there to pick up a guy. Like,
Yeah.
they're there to dance or to cook
Like
or
learn.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? Love to know how to make some fajitas. You know, whatever. Like, yeah, because she wants to eat fajitas, not because she wants to feed you fajitas or whatever. Like, I mean, like that just doesn't make any sense. Like, I've never understood that unless it's one where it's like very specific. Like, this is a singles
Yeah.
meetup, whatever. Like, that's fine, but that's not what he said. So I'm thinking that it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, dudes are like, yeah, let's go to yoga and like meet women or whatever. Like that.
Yeah.
They're there to do yoga and they're not there to meet you. So that it's not going to work. So don't do
Yeah,
it.
and
Like,
you're
just number
already
one,
going
like,
to
don't
piss
do it.
them off for coming at them when they're taking their
Absolutely.
1 hour a week to relax, and you're trying to hit on them because you like the way
Absolutely.
they look in yoga pants, because he's picking up women at marathons. He's going to cooking classes, which also kind of seems like a very superficial thing. Like, he wants a woman to cook. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but he is saying he's a nice guy, but then curating these very specific situations that he wants these women to have like qualities of as well at the same time. You know, to me, I'm reading into it, but you know what I'm saying? He's not like, the things that he's specifically mentioning are maybe these are the things he likes and he wants to have like hobbies with. And I'm not saying that's not true, but just the way he talks about things, it sounds like he's curating this like idealistic woman that he has, and they have to check these boxes. And the women that check the boxes are the ones that are not interested in him, and the ones that don't have all the qualities that he sounds like he has a very, very specific person in mind. And to me, that's always a red flag. Like, you're not going to find this idealistic dream person who checks all the boxes just because you're going to all the places that you know you want. Like, it's just that person may never exist. And even if that person comes close, whatever you have created in their mind, that person is going to immediately not live up to and fail at some point. And that loss is going to be even more than if you just like waited and are like, oh, I like this person.
I agree with everything you just said, and I think you're wrong. Only reason being, and I think this is a difference between men and women. I think that if that was true, everything you just said is spot on, right? Everything you just said is 100% spot on. I think the difference that you're not understanding is what happens when you're a guy with no confidence.
I don't think I can understand that.
You just described a guy who has a lot of confidence, in my opinion. And that maybe this is a lesson for women out there, whatever, like, that's fine. But what I'm telling you is, somebody who says, I want a woman that cooks, so I'm going to go to a cooking class, is someone who's very confident that they're going to find a woman at a cooking class. With a guy who has no confidence, what I think he's doing and how I'm interpreting this, and again, this is just an interesting, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that actually makes perfect sense, and I think you're interpreting it wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not your fault necessarily. I mean, it's nobody's fault. You might even be right? Like I could be wrong. But it's an interesting thing because I think it really is a divide between men and women when the way they think about some of this stuff, right? Like you've kind of concocted this idea about this guy, and I've concocted this idea about this guy. And we both hate this guy, but we hate him for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Which is, yours is very much like it's a conscious decision where he's sort of trying to dominate a woman almost, right? Kind of, you know, like you said, sort of mold in whatever, which I think there are people out there who do that sort of thing, right? Like they want to find, you know, XYZ, and so they go and they look for it and they say, you know, this is what it is. Somebody who doesn't have any confidence, they don't know how to mold anybody. So what I think is happening is this guy is literally just thinking, what are things that women do?
You're probably right.
And when I say that, I don't mean women cook. I mean women take cooking classes, right?
Yeah, that's what women do with their girlfriends, right?
Exactly. And so he's saying
that's where women are.
That's 100%. He's saying it's an odds game, right? Because he's probably heard that, hey man, it's a numbers game. Like the more no's you get, the closer you get to a yes, like that sort of thing, right? Which is technically true. You know, I mean, that's all Tinder is, right? You swipe, you Bumble, whatever you want, like that's all that is, right? It's just a numbers game. But he just has this idea where he's like, well, if I just go somewhere where there's a lot of women, like I'm sure it'll happen, you know, and that's sort of his thing, right? Again, the marathon thing is still confusing. And what I'm thinking about the marathon thing is that he's saying, I'm gonna try to hook up with a woman who's working the marathon, and maybe there's like more women who work marathon. I don't know. I'm still a little confused on like why he chose the marathon.
I've actually volunteered at marathons, and I didn't find that to be true. I find marathons to be very much a 50-50 experience, and depending on where you're volunteering, you don't really have a lot of time to like talk though.
Right, but there's a lot of people there, right? There's a lot of people. Yeah, so it's, you know, it's more than like
game. There are a lot of people.
Exactly, it's more than a cooking class, right? So it's interesting that he is there, but all of this boils down to the fact that this guy's desperate. Like, dude, they can smell desperation on you. Like, you go in there and you're in a cooking class, you're like trying to hit on this girl, and she's like, this guy's just being super creepy, like asking me weird questions or whatever. And it's because you're desperate, man. It's not because, you know, like when you see this like on a movie or television show or something like that, right? Like, you know, the girl's at the cooking class or whatever, and then the guy says a couple things, he says a couple funny things, you know, and he's like, you know, I just broke up with my wife or whatever, but he's not sad about it, right? He's not like, I just broke up with my wife. Like, that's not how it is. Yeah. Man. Go watch those things. So like, it's like, yeah, figured I'd get back out here, been single for a little while, just got divorced, and he's confident. He's like a confident dude telling him that he has just got divorced, right? Like he just got divorced, and he's like, "Yep, I'm single. What's up?" Right? Like that's a confident thing. Like
I don't know how to cook. I'm here to learn how to cook.
And those women respond to that, right? They're like, "Oh, this is a confident guy who's secure with the fact that he, you know, relationship didn't work out, whatever." Like that's how that works, right? But he's guy
also not here to meet us. He's here because he wants to do this. Which is a huge distinction that you're pointing out. I mean, he can be there for the women, but he's not like giving out those signs. Right? Like
it's not their first thought.
Yeah.
It's not their first thought. And the reason it's not their first thought is because there's confidence behind it, right? And when somebody's confident, that's how con men work, right? Confidence men, that's how they work, right? When they're confident, you believe what they're saying, right? And so whether or not there's an ulterior motive, like you show up and that's what it is, right? So it's interesting to me that this guy is like, he's doing just all the classic stuff, right? Like if you Google this online, like how do I find women or whatever, there's a billion people online who are like, go to cooking classes, go to yoga classes, like go do these things that where all these women congregate, right? Because it's a numbers game, you'll find some or whatever. But this is a guy who he thinks he's a nice guy, right? But his ego is huge. Like all of this stuff comes down to ego, right? Like how do you view yourself? And the way he views himself is much higher because, like you said, he's going after, you know, 8s, 9s, 10s, and he's a 4 or 5, whatever. And he's not secure in that fact, right? But the thing about people who are insecure is that they have big egos, because the reason that you're insecure is because your ego can take a big hit, right? Mm-hmm. It can take a big hit. If you have a smaller ego, it can't take as big a hit. I'm not saying you can't deal with it. I'm saying literally the ego is not as big, right? So there's less ego to hit. But the bigger the ego is, the more it can be set back, right? And so people who are like who are very insecure and all those things, they genuinely have the biggest egos, right? Like I am incredibly insecure, right? Like just as a person, like I'm an incredibly insecure person. I have a massive ego, right? Like I think I am the best at like everything, right?
Yeah, we've learned that very
right.
quickly.
But that comes. But what I'm saying is that comes with that comes with actual problems. In that, yes, I'm confident and I think I can do a lot of things or whatever, but also I can be set back more than other people, right? And so this is a guy who's been set back and hasn't learned how to deal with it, right? And so he's just sitting here and he's like, you know, I'm a nice guy, whatever. Like he has this inflated sense, but then he's also talking about these women and he's like, they're not as attractive and they're not whatever. And what he's saying in that is not that they're ugly or any of those things. It's not to demean those women. And even though it's going to sound like it, it's really not to demean those women. What he's saying is, I am not reaching my potential, right? Because the reality is people have different potentials. You know what I mean? Like some people are more attractive than other people. So anybody who's like, oh, well, you shouldn't compare yourself to, I don't know what to tell you, man. Beauty is beauty. Like that is what it is. And yeah, standards change over centuries and all that bullshit, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, beauty is beauty. And some people are better looking than others. You know what I mean? Like nobody looks at like Sloth from the Goonies and like, yeah, he's hot. You know, no, it doesn't happen. You look at him, you're like, he's a 1. You know, like that's how it works. He's a fucking Cyclops. You know what I mean? Like nobody looks at the Cyclops and is like, I'd do him. You know, like that just doesn't happen, right? So objectively, there are different levels to this sort of stuff. And so this guy's not putting down the women that he's talking about. He's trying to prop himself up, saying I should be in a different echelon because he has this ego. He has this giant ego about himself. Well, number one, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you're not in that, right? Maybe you are. I'm going to go ahead and guess you're not because most people who are actual like 9s and 10s, like they know, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty obvious. You literally look in the mirror and you're like,
they know, or like they don't struggle. Like they get random people like
Absolutely.
superficial people, like even people who aren't that outgoing, who are 9s and 10s, people still kind of pay more attention to them.
Yeah,
like 100%. We all do it. Like, you know, you see like a man or even a woman, like even you see both genders and you look at them and you're like, wow, their bone structure is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were just blessed. Like they are an attractive person.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So this guy is what this guy needs to do, right? Because I think that was his ultimate question, which was like, what should I do or something? Number one, dude, you gotta stop pressing, man. You gotta stop being obsessed with the idea of getting a partner, because it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen for you, right? And if you can find one, it's not gonna be somebody you're happy about because that's gonna be somebody who's okay with that you're obsessed with finding a partner, right? And like that's,
it also sounds
honestly,
like he doesn't even like or know himself. So like that's a really difficult person.
That's what I'm saying, right? So stop being focused on finding a partner, right? And honestly, the very first thing you should do, because he sounds like a guy who like wants to try out new things or whatever, he's at least willing to. First of all, stop fucking doing like fake personality bullshit. Like stop that. Stop lying.
Yeah, I did want to add. If you have low self-confidence, do not spend time being someone else. That is just gonna, if for some reason 100%. That like works well, it's 100%. Just gonna make you feel shittier as a person that these people like this fake version of you. You need to learn to like, and I mean, it sucks. Like some of us don't have like the most engaging personalities and we're not for everyone. I think we both fall into that category and that sucks sometimes. Yeah. Okay. But like that sucks sometimes because people have strong opinions and you either like learn to like that or you just don't fucking talk to them anymore. Like, you know, but he sounds like if you know you have a confidence problem, spending time in a setting where you want to bond with someone on the most personal and intimate level, you know, this isn't a work function. I have a very different personality that I'm okay with and does not hit my confidence that has to do with being in work or professional settings because that's just like necessary, you know, like not everyone needs to know like my deepest like personality traits at work, you know, like they don't need to know like where I swing on the humor scale or like what my hobbies are necessarily all the time, like at my, you know, what I like, you know, that's maybe not mainstream. Like they don't need to know that. But when you're with a partner, they should know that and you should feel comfortable with them. And it's going to be the biggest confidence hit if you spend a ton of time exerting energy into creating something fake, that's the person they like, and then you revert back to who you really are and they don't like you, and you're like, that's something that they're not willing to take me for who I am. I'm like, no, you didn't give who you were honestly, and you lied to that. Like, you created a person who like they thought blended with who they were as a person, and now that's an even bigger confidence hit. I mean, that's the most intimate confidence hit, is to be rejected for being who you really are after you've been hiding it from someone. I mean, that's really what people want in a relationship, to be liked for who they are.
Yeah, no, I agree. So just stop that. Like, just stop lying to people, because it's stupid. Like, that's fine. But this guy, he does seem like a guy who's kind of adventurous, like all those things, right? Don't focus on being a partner. Focus on getting some actual legitimate new aspect of your personality. As in some new hobby or whatever it is. Go find an activity that you actually want to do. I don't care if there's men or women there or nobody or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Go find something that you actually genuinely like to do. And if it's a cooking class, great. Like, if you genuinely like cooking, great, go do that. But when you're there, only focus on doing whatever it is that you're doing. Be a dick to other people at the time. It doesn't matter, but like, only focus on that. Don't even look around the room. Just only focus on that. You know, I'm going to make a chicken piccata. Great. Make the greatest chicken piccata that you can possibly make. Like, whatever it is, only focus on that. And do that a couple of times, and just get out of your head, because there's no way. And like, that's the thing, right? I see all people, well, just get more confidence, or, oh, go focus on yourself, get a hobby, whatever. I'm trying to give you actual practical advice. Like, this is how you actually do it, right? Go out, sign up for something, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care if there's men there. I don't care if there's women there. I don't care if anybody else is there. It doesn't matter. Go find something that you think you might actually want to do, or that you already know you want to do, whatever. You know, if you're into comic books, great. Go to a comic book store, do a comic book reading. I don't know, something like that, like whatever. Just go focus on that and do that for like a month, right? I'm not saying you don't have to do it every day, but just do it for a month, right? Get out of your head with all this other stuff. Just do that. And then go back and look. And, you know, what you're probably going to find is like, hey, you know what? I actually kind of like doing that. Maybe there were some cute girls there. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know. But I kind of like doing that. Dude, you're in your 30s, man. You should have more of a personality than this. So find something that you want to do. Go there. And after a month of you not focusing and not talking to other people based on, you know, I want to hook up with you, then you can strike up a conversation. But now you have something to actually talk about, and have a conversation. The very first conversation you have with somebody at one of these things, with the idea of, hey, she's cute. Maybe we could go on a date. Don't even bring up dating. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about it. Don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, you know, how did you make your chicken piccata? Whatever. But genuinely be interested in what they're saying. Like, ask a question that couldn't possibly be construed as a pickup line, right? Literally be like, hey, you know what? Like, how did you base your thing? Because, like, I can't figure it out. Whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm not putting enough. What's the green shit that they put on there? Whatever that is. Like, I can't put enough of that on. Or, like, how did you capers, right? Like, I can't chop them. Like, can you show me how you chopped it or whatever? Because I literally don't know. Stay on the other side of the table, though. Don't do the thing where, like, you're coming around me and, like, you know, we're, like, doing the thing. Like, don't do that. But just stay, like, how do, you know, what's the technique? Like, how do I get the knife doing the thing or whatever? Ask something very specific. That should be the very first thing. Do not hit on them. Do not ask them. But ask them something very specific about what you're doing, and then go from there. But don't wait a whole month before you do something like that. And you know what? Like, oh, I'm gonna miss out or whatever. Fine, dude, miss out. I don't know what to tell you, man. You've been missing out for a decade at this point, right? So yeah, great. But maybe you miss out on your wife, maybe you don't. I don't know. But ask the question, make it very specific. Only after a month of you being at one of these things and like trying to do it. And just get out of your head, man, because that's how you get out of the confidence game, right? That's how you get out of having that lack of self-confidence, is don't focus on the confidence, right? Because the more you focus on that, the more desperate they're going to know that you are. And that's the worst thing you can have happen, because women do not like men who are desperate. Luckily, I've never struggled with that, but, you know, whatever. But all right, so I think that we've...
I have a couple things to add to what you said. It sounds like the thing that I also took away from what you just said was be open to, like, even if it's not female relationships, maybe male, like maybe you can meet like other male like relationships. It's like he hasn't considered expanding his overall friend group or digging really into like a community. Like, I have a friend who plays volleyball, and he's met several women he's dated, not necessarily everyone has played volleyball with him. They've been female friends that come watch and they hang out for a while, and that's how and it's not like intentional. It's that he really likes playing volleyball, and so he wants to be around someone who's at least willing to watch him play volleyball, and like that's the community that he adapts to. And some of those have been like guy friends as friends, you know, like, and they've been long relationships. And it's like, you don't consider the fact that you don't need to like directly meet the girl, but if you like hanging out with these type of people, if you like hanging out with people that cook, they probably have friends that cook too. That's like not a given, but that's generally how it works, or at least they appreciate eating the food this person cooks. So like you brought up a good point that I hadn't considered until you said that. The other thing is, I know we've talked about it, but it needs to be said again. If you are calling yourself a nice guy, stop it, because reality is you probably aren't as nice as you think you are. And no one, like, if you are so nice that you don't think you are doing anything wrong, you are probably not meeting someone like halfway in arguments. You're probably not really aware of the fact that you aren't as nice as you think you are. You aren't aware of the fact that although you think you're being nice, some people might not find that nice. And when they tell you that, you think they're an asshole when you're being an asshole, because that happens. You know, like you think you do things, people do things all the time. They think if someone did that to them, that'd be perfectly fine. The other people, that's not, like, they've crossed a boundary. And you need to understand, like, I'm okay when this happens to me. Other people don't like it. I got to stop doing it if I want to hang out with them, or stop hanging out with that person. He doesn't sound like he's understanding that if you call yourself nice all the time, the likelihood that everyone's the super nice person is just like not there. Like, you know, like people are assholes sometimes all the time. Like that just happens. People have bad days. Like he does too. And he needs to like kind of discuss that more. If that's like, if you're a guy and you're sitting there and saying that, that's probably part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is when something goes wrong, people don't like the way you handle it because you think you're being the nicer person.
Totally agree. I never tell anybody I'm nice, and I am nice, and so I think that proves your point, right? If I was out there
just
saying
like
I'm
set
nice
those
all the time, people would be
expectations
like, I don't
low,
think
so you.
Look, I'm just an uber nice guy, you know, but I don't have to say it because everybody just feels it. You know, so that's that's a great point. So, you know, hey buddy, stop being an asshole. Stop trying to be obsessed with picking up women. Just work on yourself a little bit. Follow the steps that I told that I talked about, because that's an actual way of doing that, right? That's what this show is about, right? The show is about giving actual advice. This is what you do, step by step. This is how it's done.
Yeah.
This isn't like, you know, hey, get more confidence. You know, like that's what you're gonna get from this stuff. Like people are gonna be like, oh, you're not confident. Find some confidence. Nobody tells you how to do it. I'm telling you exactly how to do it. Like that's gonna make you feel better. I'm telling you, I guarantee it's going to work. So listen to it. And then come back in a while and tell me about your experience, because I guarantee it's going to be better than what it's been, because I just know that just desperation is just dripping off you, and women are just genuinely appalled by what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I think now we've done it. I cut you off. That was my fault earlier. Those are great points that you brought up. So now we've actually done it. I think that's going to do it for this episode. If people have more questions, they got questions like this guy. They want to get the actual facts. They want to get a step-by-step solution to their problem. They can email us at, what's the email? The email is
info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
All right.
One day you'll know.
They can email us there. I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Somebody will read it. You can send an emails, tell people how nice I am. Like that's fine. We'll definitely
You can also
read those.
comment about if you do end up using some of the advice of how to go out and interact with people. Let us know how it worked. If you were someone who is not confident and have done things to be confident, like comment and let other people know too, because I think that that's a universal issue. Honestly, even people who appear confident are usually not. Your advice has nothing to do with not having confidence. It's honestly how you approach trying new things.
Totally agree. And so anybody, definitely you comment, like, whatever. I don't know what that is. And anybody out there who knows how to who knows the step-by-step that will tell me how to turn this into my real job, like how to actually do this and like get paid for this and not have to work a real job, like definitely let me know that, because that's something I'm interested in. So this is me asking for that advice. But otherwise, you are
putting out in the world what you want, which is another reoccurring theme is you can't be pissed if you don't ask for it.
Absolutely, right? So I want people to basically give me a bunch of money so that I can do this, or to tell me how to then ask other people for a bunch of money so that then I can do this full time. That's what I want. I'm putting that out in the world. That's what I want to see. Let me know if you're somebody open to that. Let me know. Otherwise, we will see everybody next time.
We will.